Hello, welcome to Tuesdays with Lloyd's special edition, Cyber Showcase. This is your host, Enya. Over the past 7 days, we have featured 10 leading cyber experts and 4 forward-thinking risk managers on the show. We have covered a variety of topics ranging from submission of application, crisis management, unique value proposition of claims at Lloyd's, cyber business interruption, and cyber physical damage. Today is our series finale, featuring 2 leaders on the forefront of combining technology and risk management to deliver more than just insurance coverage. The speakers are Tom Bennett of CFC Syndicate and Alan Kubitz of eBay. Without further ado, please welcome Alan and Tom.
Hello, thank you very much, Enya. Hi, Alan, how are you doing?
Good. How about you, Tom? It's early here for me.
Yes, unfortunately, I was hoping for a better view, but right behind me is the Lloyd's London being lit up on a nice sunny winter's afternoon, but definitely not the morning over here in London. So I guess kind of as an introduction to myself, and Alan, of course, you can introduce yourself as well. As part of CFC, we want to develop the technology offerings that back up the underlying sort of thoughts that go into our underwriting process. And my team has a crucial role of that. So I'm the team leader on the cyber threat analysis team. And what that really means is that I'm in charge of looking after our customers once they become a customer, and using technology and threat intelligence to work out which customers might be at a directly heightened risk of having a cyber claim, and then intervening in some way to prevent that from happening.
That's great, Tom. I think that's really interesting, the work that you guys are doing over there. We've had a lot of great sessions over the last week and a half about everything from the perfect submission to resiliency. So we've got quite a bit of a task here to end it on a high note. So yeah, let's jump into some things.
Definitely. So I guess one thing that I think CFC does that's quite interesting is the way that because we have this importance in our view of being able to pass this direct information in a really timely manner. I think we've seen experiences in the past where if you find that a customer, for example, has some malware on their system that is being operated by a ransomware gang, and therefore is maybe moments away, literally like less than a day from being hit with a ransomware incident. If you talk to their broker and then they pass it on to another broker in the chain, and then it gets passed on to a risk management, and then gets passed on to the IT team, that can unfortunately in the past lead to the information getting there too late, and then they get hit by a ransomware attack before the message gets passed on. And it's like, well, we already know that. So what we've done is we've developed a mobile application which we use to encourage customers to download, and it means that while obviously the insurance side is best dealt with through insurance experts. So I'm a technologist, not an insurance expert. I don't want to be talking to customers about issues that their broker can help them with. But when I have something that I want to pass on to a customer, it's best if it can be in the pockets of somebody who works in the IT environment. So maybe that's from their managed service provider, if they're a small business, or in the sort of cybersecurity team of a larger corporate customer. And that means that we can be kind of embedded in customers' networks in a sense, in terms of an extra pair of eyes passing on stuff. And while obviously customers have questions about that because it's a new thing for the insurance industry, we've had really positive feedback, not just because we've been able to provide some stuff that's really stopped stuff that would have been a terrible incident like a ransomware attack, but also larger companies like eBay, where they have their own threat intelligence divisions and cybersecurity teams. We get to kind of augment that. And so while obviously when you have a certain level of sophistication like eBay, we're just going to be passing on information that they then take and run to the nth degree. It means that there's an extra bit of feedback that we can be giving, that there may be a lot of overlap, but there's probably some extra bits that we're seeing that those teams aren't seeing. So I'm wondering what your thoughts on that are, Alan.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for not only small companies but large ones as well. It sounds like you've got a different sort of network than we use internally and externally to pick up different threats that are affecting our business. And I look at it at the more pieces of data intelligence that we can feed to our IT security team, the better. So it'll not only enhance what we're doing, but then give us access to some different pieces of market information.
Yeah, definitely. And on that point, obviously, both as a technology company, but also a company that's grown from the tiniest kind of size of company that we insure as a startup, all the way to the huge company that you are these days. What does eBay see their cyber liability as kind of just an insurance problem, or is it something that the whole business is invested in and interested in, and as a risk manager, how easy is it for you to kind of get buy-in from other teams that aren't directly part of insurance normally?
Yeah, Tom, thanks for asking. I'll answer in a couple ways. And I think early on, it certainly was more of just an insurance issue and a purchase decision. But being a public company, cybersecurity resiliency is definitely something that our board of directors are interested in, which includes the insurance that we might purchase to mitigate against financial loss. Personally, I view it as an issue that requires company-wide support, since many of the incidents that happen are stem from actions of employees. And I think maybe it is because eBay's a tech company, but one of the real benefits of this is the cyber liability exposure has brought our risk management team closer to our data security operations, helping them to engage in things like ransomware discussions, and really, giving us more of a seat at the table in things that are going on. And one of the key pieces that we're bringing into the picture is making sure that they are really aware of the interactions that have to happen between our company and our insurance partners to make sure that we can ensure that we maintain coverage and recovery of potential expenses that we might have in the event of a cyber incident.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and obviously with the changing market and ransomware, as you pointed out there as well, really impacting the industry. What have been your pain points in recent years as a buyer of cyber insurance?
Oh boy, I don't think we have any pain points for insurance, but on a serious note though, I'll start by one thing. eBay, yes, we're a huge online marketplace, but at the heart of it, we're a data company. We know what our customers shop for. We know what they actually buy. We know prices paid for everything, like a Tom Brady card that sold for $2.5 million a few weeks ago. And with all this data, I try and look at some innovative ways that we can do things more efficiently and more autonomously. One of the big pain points that we have, not only with cyber but with some other lines, is collecting all the data from different parts of the organization and then churning it and putting it into a format that's usable by insurers and our brokers. I'd love to see something that, I don't know, we can call like the autonomous application, where our insurer is in some way connected into our systems. They can see protocols we have in place. I think it'd be a lot more valuable than having a 1-hour call with the insurer, and they can talk about whether or not we use two-factor authentication and some other questions. But if they were really plugged in to our systems, it would be a lot more efficient for everyone, but it would also provide them more data, a deeper look at things that the insurer could use to value what type of risk we are. With that said, though, I think one of the big challenges in having this autonomous application we'd need buy-in from our IT security to let another third party sort of, play in a sandbox or have some sort of patch into our systems. And certainly there could be some vulnerabilities there.
No, absolutely. And I know that as part of application forms, of course, whether it's an SME or a large corporate client, we do ask about controls like multi-factor authentication, as you mentioned. But of course, the forms are just to kind of get a holistic sense of whether a company takes cybersecurity seriously. And I think we can then augment this very human, relationship-driven underwriting process with our underlying technology. So obviously, the topic of this talk today is risk management technology in the future of cyber insurance. I think you could condense that topic down to risk management technology is the future of cyber insurance. And I think in terms of autonomous underwriting and things like that, that's how we're approaching it. So when you apply for a policy, you're filling an application form, maybe you're on a call with underwriters and your brokers, and you're talking about your company's approach to security and what controls you have in place at that point in time. But that's only one point in time. We're insuring you for at least 364 more days in your policy period beyond that one day we're on the call. And so we know that the companies change over time. So one really common exposure that has led to ransomware attacks has been the abuse of remote connections like RDP, which is why almost all application forms for insurance companies now talk about that. But of course, we know that customers who expose RDP on the day of an application form, there's only one portion, actually quite a small portion of those who end up having it abused throughout the policy period. And so what you can do is then say, rather than ask them, we'll just scan you when you apply using only your external footprint. So to your point about the concerns around, do we need access to your internal network? Well, the attackers don't yet, and hopefully never get access to your internal network. And realistically, we're only worrying about those same viewpoints that the attackers are taking. So if we're looking at your external footprint, that's what the attackers are doing. So that's all we need. And then we can scan for things like RDP and say, are you exposing it when you apply? If yes, we will flag it to an underwriter. There can be a conversation there. But if not, that's okay. But we continue to monitor that. So throughout your policy period, we scan you constantly to say, have you turned on RDP on this subdomain? Has remote.ebay.com started turning on RDP when it didn't before? That kind of thing. And that's just one example of many dozens of characteristics that we look for as sort of security characteristics that we use to monitor our portfolio for these really high severity risks. And of course, you could go overboard. You could do things that lead to kind of alert fatigue. But the benefit of it being an insurance company who's doing this rather than an incident response company that you might have on retainer who are doing vulnerability management for you. While, of course, that has a place and is a benefit and is always great when companies are doing that, what we're doing is we're seeing claims come in, unfortunately, and we know how they take place. And because, at least at CFC, we are heavily involved in the incident response process with our own incident response team that do a lot of our forensic investigations. We know in a really up-to-date way how our victims of crimes essentially are being victimized. And we can say, here are the maybe 10, 15 most common attack methods. Let's scan only for those. Whereas if there's something that realistically is more hypothetical as an exposure, rather than something that is causing a deluge of claims, we can disregard those. And it means that when we're going to a customer through our app or through their broker or however we do it, we can then say, look, here is some meaningful information that we can provide to you as your insurer about a risk that is bespoke to you and your network. And here is why it matters, and here's how you can fix it. And if they're a smaller organization, we know that's really crucial because they don't have that sophistication where they can interpret it, take action. And if it is a more sophisticated insured, we can then still give the context of why they need to prioritize it on their list, even if it's already on their roadmap or something. And that lets us mean that we have more levers as an insurer to pull, and as a kind of great value add, I think, for our policyholders for more than just the policy coverage, because we're hoping they never make a claim, but we're also helping them provide more minor incidents, as well.
Yeah, Tom, do you see some pushback or get pushback from companies that you're insuring on the level of automation that you're trying to help with?
Yeah, we definitely do, but in my experience, it's always been on misunderstandings where, like you said, the assumption is that we need to be doing something quite intrusive to do this. We're not. The relationship between us and our customers needs to be very positive, and we would never want to do anything that is guaranteed to provoke the wrath of our customers, like doing sort of unscheduled penetration tests, aka hacking them ourselves. And also, we do get pushback where customers are saying, look, what does this mean? And obviously, there's broker education pieces that we've done over the last year or so that we've been doing this to help that. But generally, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. People saying this is a fantastic feature that I didn't realize I was going to get when I bought my insurance policy. It's good to know that you guys kind of have our back. And it's a very simple kind of, the maths of it are quite simple in that we have a completely mutual interest with our customers. They don't want to have a claim to the exact same extent that we don't, because we're going to be the ones picking up the bill. And we see that this is the best way to do it as a way to augment the risk selection, because we know that cyber is a really fast changing landscape. And so imagine that an insurer has a perfect application form and you capture exactly all of the risks that your underwriting model needs. In 6 months' time, there's going to be a new zero-day exploit that comes along. Like last year, we saw several very significant ones like proxy logon and proxy shell in Microsoft Exchange, or the much discussed Log4j vulnerabilities as well. And no one could have seen 7 months ahead that those were going to be something you needed to be overly concerned about as part of an application process. But because my team can react really rapidly, we can build a scanner in hours for this, and we can say, here are our cohort of customers that use Microsoft Exchange. Here are those who are vulnerable to this because they haven't applied a patch yet. Let's get in touch with that customer, that base, and say, look, here's this new vulnerability that's being widely exploited, and here's why it matters. And we've been able to do that for a wide number, and we're very sure that in 2022 it's going to be the same thing. Where I think with ransomware, not yet finding a kind of point where it's running out of victims. They are instead just continuing to iterate around new techniques, and the cat and mouse game continues. And there will be, I'm very sure, new vulnerabilities that we haven't yet heard of in products I might not even be aware of, that will have some level of exploitation to carry out ransomware attacks. In the same way that I, as a technologist, can't foresee them, underwriters and brokers and buyers of insurance also can't. And so an application form that only looks at a point in time struggles there, whereas autonomous underwriting and autonomous risk management that looks after customers on a rolling basis can account for those as it goes throughout a policy period and into the future of unseen dangers.
Yeah, that's interesting, Tom. And I may have a perfect case scenario to use for this as well. If I get back to innovating, I always try and think of my role as a risk professional as risk and opportunity management. And at eBay, we have millions of small business sellers on our platform. I know many other companies have thousands and thousands of partners that they engage with in their business operation model. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to try and surface something to our sellers, whereby it benefits them and their business, it protects them. What do you think? Is there one way to get those small business sellers excited about protecting their business from cyber risk? Because it's probably something they don't think about.
Yeah, and I think eBay is a really interesting example to pick out there, because eBay has a unfortunate situation that, while being a place to transact business, it is unfortunately a place where crime takes place through scams and things like that, as well as compromises of accounts, sort of more traditional cybercrime where accounts are compromised and used to take over things like that. And I think through education about the risks that sellers on eBay face and how that can be countered using technology. So, for example, just like how we look into compromised accounts for VPNs and Citrix logons and things like that, where they've been stolen using info stealers, the same technology can look for compromised eBay account things for users. And so the same technology can look after our customers, but there's also technological methods that could be used in the future for insurers to look after the customers of customers, and kind of expanding the offering even further as we become more of a sort of a technology company as much as we are a insurance company, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and I know these are meant to be short and get some information out there, so we're sort of at time. But since we're talking about the future of cyber insurance, I thought maybe I'd leave with a small hypothetical thought. In the future, would the autonomous vehicle purchase their own insurance without interaction from the vehicle owner? It's kind of not a lot different than the telematics, right, that are already being used. The vehicle already knows how many miles a year it drives. Certainly the vehicle knows that it's a good driver, right? So maybe they don't even need the human to buy their own insurance.
Absolutely, it's definitely an interesting thought. Cool. Well, I think that's our 20 minutes. So thanks, Alan, for the very interesting conversation. It's been great.
Yeah, I don't know if we have questions in chat or not.
We're good. Thank you again, Alan. Thank you, Tom, for the insight. I take away, risk management is risk and opportunity management, and then risk management and technology is the future of cyber insurance. That's my major takeaway. Again, thank you both for your insight. And thank you to all the people in the audience for sharing your time with us. We hope you like a new format of this new short sessions and deep dive into the specific topics. So until March 8th, when we return to the program, we'll feature simply showcase Canopius will be on the program. Until then, please stay healthy and stay connected. Thank you so much again.